get to the footy.
Let's get
because,
to the footy,
I mean, as you said, Travis Cloke has been a massive story, hasn't it, today? And the fact that confirmation that Collingwood are putting off talks until the end of the season. Of course, the headlines were this morning. I mean, it was going on and on. This is probably what in the end has led Collingwood to say enough is enough. You know, to the max. Great urge Collingwood Cloke to sign, and read it and weed the possible effect it would have on other players and the difficulty in signing them. And I guess well, there's more on what happened with Ben Reid, which we'll get to shortly. But even at one stage, this was put up on eBay at lunchtime, Travis Cloke up for sale on eBay. So it was getting pretty ridiculous, wasn't it?
Yeah, that looks stupid. But anyway, you know, and the read it and weep, the confirmation today that from Paul Connors, who's Reid's manager, saying that we're really close and that will please Collingwood supporters. But when the news broke this afternoon that Travis Cloke had put off negotiations to the end of the year, not traditionally, in the last couple of years, those words sent fear into the footy clubs. We're not discussing. My understanding is that Collingwood, it's been spiralling out of control. We have been talking about it on 360, radio stations, newspapers, almost every day for 3 weeks.
Well, let's get that build-up. Let's get the statement, get the build-up, and then we'll hear your reaction and let's discuss it. Here's the statement from Collingwood, for those that haven't seen or heard it, from Jeff Walsh, the footy director. By removing the potential for distraction from the agenda of both club and player, a firm focus could continue to be brought for the remainder of the season. The season at hand is everyone's priority, and having considered all of the circumstances, it seemed the most sensible and appropriate course to suspend our negotiations until the season has played out. And that followed a morning where Nathan Buckley and also Nick Maxwell talked to the media ahead of a charity walk, and Nathan Buckley not really answering any direct questions regarding Travis, and it was left to Nick Maxwell to speak. But as you said, Robbo, a lot of people have had a lot to say about Travis Cloke in the lead-up to this.
I think that when anyone's not playing their best footy, they tend to read things and hear things, and it becomes hard. So I challenge anyone to go through what Trav's been going through this year and to be coming out and playing his best footy. But as I said, he's working his backside off, and that's all we can ask of him.
I've got no doubt that it's affecting him. Last week he didn't wear his glove lingy. It was back on yesterday, and it's not a big thing, but I reckon it's symbolic of a man who's starting to second-guess his own form.
He's probably had one good game in the last probably month. I reckon the West Coast Eagles game is about it.
Everyone handles things differently. I'd say that it's not affecting Harry or it's not affecting Sharrod, so I mean it's sort of hard to say and speak for those guys.
He should drop Travis Cloke and Chris Dawes. On form, I don't think they deserve to be in the team, a top 3 or 4 team.
We haven't had match committee yet, and you know, every one of the 22 players that played is under some sort of pressure, as is the rest of the club.
I would say talks are broken down. That's what I would say, because there's no talking going on.
I think this is the Cloke camp standing firm and Collingwood standing firmer. And saying, we gave you the offer. This is a balancing act for Collingwood. We can't pay you, Travis, what you think you're worth because we've got 40-odd other players on the list. This is what we've offered you.
So you believe that Collingwood will not budge at all?
I am confident about that.
If Travis Cloke doesn't sign by the end of this week, I'll believe that he's not going to sign. Because this has to be sorted for his own well-being, for his teammates and for his club. If he actually does hold the intention to stay at Collingwood, then it's time to do it.
And certainly from a club point of view, we'd like to get it settled as soon as possible, and we've said that all along. Indications are from some teammates of Travis that he'd like to sign as well. David's having an influencing role on it, and I think Ralph Carr, if he had control of it, would have got it done 3 months ago, but it's not been done.
The longer it goes, the more doubt there has to be. And I mean, people get angry about this situation. And if there's no resolution for a long time, then someone cracks.
Can you see it when you look at Travis play?
Well, you would, because he's not playing to the normal output that he's capable of. So something in his life is actually stopping him, prohibiting him from playing footy that he wants to play.
I mean, we're entitled to query whether he's worth 800.
Obviously, we'd like him to sign. We'd like Reid to sign. Sharrod, Goldie and Harry, we'd like them all to get done sooner rather than later.
So the classic standoff for the Pies had enough. Now, Robbo, before we talk about what's happened today, a few weeks ago I saw you on this program say that you thought he was going to be signing by the end of that week on the Friday. You thought. So what happened in your mind? Do you know what's happened as to why it didn't get done then?
Got me in a bit of a situation here because this is on the back page of the Herald Sun tomorrow. Okay. I mean, it's a really big story. That was on July 9th, on a Monday night. Now that, my understanding, Gary Pert organised that. And invited was Cloke, Ralph Carr, Maguire, Buckley, Pert, Walsh. Their understanding, and half of the Cloke management understanding, was that was the final meeting. Everything was coming together. We've just got to tick off a couple of things. We expect this to be done by Friday, Monday, Tuesday at the latest. Collingwood have been caught a little bit here because I haven't heard from them since. Now, what we've tried to ascertain today is why they haven't. Why have the Clokes and Cars, why have they backed away from a contract that was just about to sign? And we think we've found out. And I really can't go into great detail here.
Is your understanding that...
based around money, it is?
Yeah, well, I mean, is your understanding that... My understanding is that they did offer a 5-year deal, but the 5th year was... It was the terms of the 5th year where the argument was about.
That, as club officials say to us, there's an element of truth to that.
Oh, thank you. I feel like I'm interviewing a spokesman from the Iraqi information minister or something.
Well,
no, fair enough.
And it's really interesting that you say that. All along, Collingwood have said, people, we stand firm that we're not going to give 5 years. And in that final meeting, Collingwood, they moved. They moved the goalpost. But my understanding is the other side didn't move as well.
Not enough to... Didn't give any ground.
So right now, we've got the situation where... And the constant speculation about Travis Cloke, it is daily here in Melbourne, everyone.
Well, OK, so what happens now? I mean, that's the fact. Everyone around Melbourne and around Australia interested in this story are going to be saying one thing, that they're going to say, well, this means he's going to go. That's probably what most people now think. So, because this... For a number of clubs who have said they're not interested in Travis Cloke, really, unless he's on the market, well, now he effectively is on the market. So does that open up the Carlton and Richmond's to this?
Well, I've spoken to Carlton, I've spoken to Richmond, I've spoken to Melbourne tonight. The two clubs who have put in the big offers are Melbourne and Fremantle. They're refusing to comment. Carlton and Richmond, who have not put in offers, they've spoken to the Herald Sun and said, well, this changes the landscape.
So that's the risk. That's the risk that Collingwood are taking by this, isn't it? That it does mean there'd be suitors that are more suitable, for want of a better phrase.
Well, they're going to stick their head up and say, well, what's going on here? They'll have their list management discussions and say, can we fit a guy 800, 900, what it is? I just want to say one thing. Right now, everyone's probably thinking, Hutto, the Collingwood have been bastards about this. They're treating one of their players badly.
Do you think that?
No.
I don't think that.
I think Collingwood are looking after Travis Cloke primarily, and of course they want him to play better football, and they believe Travis can be happier, not under stress as much as he is, waking up every day. Cloke, and so we take that stress away and we can maybe go on and win a flag.
Will this actually make him feel better and knowing that it's still there, isn't it? I think it's a good decision by Collingwood. And speaking to a few people today, it's easy to say from the outside, probably they had done this a few weeks ago, it would have been even better. But they thought they could get it done.
They believed it was going to get done. And then it just went woof. And Cloke and Ralph Carr, they're basically gone to ground. You know, I'm not criticising him. I've spoken to David Cloke 10 times. I'm not revealing my sources. I've quoted him. But David's gone to ground. And Ralph Carr has no comment to everything.
So what's your gut feel then?
My gut feel at the end of the year, they will win or lose the premiership and then they'll sit down.
Do they start from scratch almost?
They can't start from scratch. They can't.
But Collingwood are under no obligation to now offer him the same amount. That same amount of money may not even be there. I mean, as you said, Ben Reid now... Paul Connors has said today that deal is virtually done, just a few tiny little things. Speculation out of Perth tonight too is that... Wellingham has attracted a lot of interest.
Why wouldn't he? He's a good player.
Fremantle and West Coast.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He's a Perth boy. And
if they've got money, they'll offer him. This is what I think will happen very, very quickly. The season will finish, win or lose. They'll sit down and they'll say, this is our offer. We are not moving. And then the Clokes will decide what they want to do. Now, if official offers are put to Cloke, you remember, he is a restricted free agent. Collingwood get to see the final offers from other clubs. Now, if they're...
But you wouldn't think they'd be able to...
They can't match it.
They can't match
They can't match it. And it might be as much as $1.5 million away over 5 years. So, this is the news today. Has it got messier? Probably. But I think Collingwood are acting in the best interest of Travis Cloke. But suddenly, around the league, all these antennas have gone up and said, geez, we better have a list management meeting and say, would we like Travis Cloke? Very intriguing, Dave.
It is very, very intriguing.